First, we're talking about the identification of the issue and the strategy. Now, this may not be all too clear, but here it says, and then a miracle occurred. I think very often in your work you've been sitting there like, how can we move ahead? And you don't feel in control. Whereas this whole process, we hope that it gives you more control over the activities that you do and more understanding, so you can make better decisions to move ahead. Then a miracle occurs is what you want to avoid. No? But it could also be, on the one hand, yes, I understand, a donor, a European Commission or a government, they look at society, they see problems, and they want to correct these problems. And they see a political agenda there. They have funding from whatever source, and they put a system in place for organizations. They can apply for those funds so that they can help with that issue. Yes? So if you study the donor policies, government policies, you know what the priorities are. And then if you agree with those priorities, you can try to participate with the best power you have. And if you don't agree with the priorities, or if there is a priority, an issue that you think is very important and is actually not on the political agenda, then you have an issue. You don't have the funding yet, or you don't know how to go about it yet. Right? And that's probably what you illustrate. So on the one hand, you can react to opportunities. You can also see it as opportunities because they're funding sources. These are just some of the ways. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list, and there's many different ways that issues can arise. But I particularly like the dream one when people, what do you say, if you are engaged in a certain topic, it might be gender, it might be health issues, it might be anything, environment, education, gay, lesbian rights we talked about yesterday, different things. You can have a dream, you can see in society that things are not okay with it and want to work on it, and you will find your partners. Relates a lot to gut feeling. SWOT. Okay, so through a SWOT analysis you come to discover strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, in particularly the opportunity and threats in the environment, in the policy environment. Policy decisions, very often we are just confronted with these decisions that impact on our lives immediately. And they might be positive, they might be negative. If they're negative, you have an issue. And the more it impacts on you as a person or on your organization, or if you're a commercial company and it impacts on your profitability, you have an issue. Shocking facts happening in the environment and political agendas. Just what we'll have to go through is to to first further define the issue, because as you can see, different agencies perceive different problems and see different things, and you need to come in your mini network to a better definition of what is it that we're going to work on, what is the topic that we're going to work on, and then what are you going to do to get a better understanding of the issue. You need to think through how to get clarity, and so first of all, what do you do to get a better understanding, and then what is important to convince the decision makers in your area. What do they want to know about the issue, your targets, you can go through fact-finding, through a context analysis. It's basically brainstorming on your sector, the facts that you have, the researches that you may avail of, case studies, beneficiary meetings, board meetings, participatory assessments. It's all kind of different sources that will give you information on what the issue really is about. And then again, what is really important is the assessment and the consultations with the primary beneficiaries, because they are really the problem owners. So if any of the research or the case studies do not adequately reflect the interests of your stakeholders, there might be a bias already. So it's something you may want to have a look at, and make sure that you have both facts and evidence. All this, the definition of the problem is really about facts and a little bit less about opinions in the beginning. First you need to understand the reality so that you can come to an opinion. The best way to do that is to imagine that 5 to 10 years from now your program has been successful. What have you then achieved in 5 to 10 years from now? What changes have occurred? What are your beneficiaries doing, and what are other actors doing? To get that picture, what is it that needs to change? Where do we want to be in 5 to 10 years from now, given your facts and given your basic information on the... What is important to understand is what you can do and what you cannot do as your network. The sphere of control is definitely what you can do. You are in control of your program. You're in control of the money you have. You're in control of your staff. You're in control of delivering activities. And those activities you target at political entities, decision makers, or other organizations, donors, if you like. But those targets you cannot control because they are subject to other influences. And you can only be partly in control. That's what we call the sphere of influence. If you, for example, well, let's take an example. Environment. There's a lot of subsidy mechanisms these days to promote a certain behavior of people towards a more environmentally friendly behavior. If you start with something simple like recycling paper and you make that a norm, it doesn't really mean that your targets are actually going to adopt that practice. Because people tend to be lazy and people tend to be, there's regular paper in there, let me just make that quick print. For a lot of vague and habitual reasons, they may not do what you plan them to do. So that's really your target, being in the sphere of influence that you do not have fully under control, but that you want to promote. What you are in control of is to institutionalize and to encourage all kind of different mechanisms to promote recycling or any of that. The targets in the end, whatever they do, has an impact on the beneficiaries. So that's the ultimate target group. Through your political target, you try to bring about change for the beneficiaries, for your target group. It's not something it is possible to work through your initiatives directly, without the political targets directly in support of the beneficiaries, but your political targets can also help. So NGOs can reach out directly to communities and populations, but they can also go via political targets and do it in an even more structural way. So that's why it's why even this circle is located in the bigger circle and not outside. And that's the sphere of interest. Then here, the mission. And this is going to be important because this is what you will work on. For your groups, you will start to identify your own mission, your own reason of being. It describes how you, the program, supports the vision. And we'll come to the vision. How can the program best contribute to the achievement of the vision? How can a policy influencing strategy contribute to the achievement of the vision? So there's vision and there's mission. Vision, Remember, the vision is what you wanted to see in 5 to 10 years from now, and your mission is really, how am I going to do this? How can I best do this? So there's a difference there. This is a fictional country, Bogo, and it's a bit difficult to read, but in this country there's a high incidence of malnutrition. There's different reasons for this. The problem really that you see in society is that the consumers face food shortages. So there's not enough food. One of the reasons, food is in short supply in Bogo. Another reason is that consumer incomes for food purchases are low. So the income, people don't earn enough income to actually buy food. And on top, the food prices are very high. So 3 core problems that explain why there are food shortages in that country. Let's just take one. Let's take the income side of things. The farmers receive low prices for their food products. They receive low prices. As a farmer, they don't earn enough income. The urban salaries are low, and there's a high level of unemployment. So overall, due to high unemployment, due to low urban salaries, due to low prices for food products that the farmers will receive, the incomes are low. It's all basically an explanation of steps why, and why. Why are the farmers receiving low prices for their food products? Because there's a cadre of middlemen that take huge profits, and because foreign food is dumped on the market. So different items in your society determine, so it's a cause-effect chain, if you like. Very much relates to the logical frameworking approach. In this example, foreign food is dumped on the market. Why is that? Because there is an international trade agreement to force governments to open up markets. And the national trade protection policy is not functional. So basically, in the regulatory areas, allow for foreign food to be dumped on the market, and it distorts the prices in this country. And this again, these international trade agreements are determined by the WTO, of which this country is a member, the World Trade Organization.